Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Michael with One-Eyed Fat Man Studios. Been a while since I've done a video, so I figured I'd come and show you the commission that I'm doing right now. This is the, I think it's pronounced Chernaborg, or Chernaborg, Chern or Chair, from Night on Bald Mountain, from Disney's Fantasia. Walt Disney called this character Satan himself. But if you're familiar with it, it's probably one of the most interesting of all the Fantasia entries in that particular one because of the choice of music and some of the way they did the animation. But, pause that. Right, back to it. What I've done is I've created a steel rod armature. I couldn't tell you what the thickness of this particular rod is. And then done a steel rod armature for both wings, which I will add aluminum armature wire in between with mesh screen to do the wings. Now I've already kind of sculpted the head, and the head will sit kind of at this angle. The ears are not on it currently. And then the photo from my reference photo is he wants to match this scene here. And I will actually use aluminum and some foam to build up the mountainous part down here and leave it open so he can place lights down in there and give that red glow. So, as you can see, it's going to be a very big piece. I was not sure when I accepted it exactly. Are we having some turning with the turning of the wire because the Aves that I put in here is not completely hardened, and when it does, I'm wanting it to harden up here. So what I may do is to keep it from moving, we'll take some floral wire, because it'll take about 4 hours for that Aves to completely set. So we'll take us some floral wire, we'll cut a piece off. And I usually, if I put duct tape or something over, you know, aluminum foil or something like that, I usually use floral wire for something for the monster clay to grab onto. So what I'll do is I'll wrap that there and then bring it around over here to this one, and we'll just kind of tie it up like that until it completely hardens, and then hopefully that will take care of it. Now, I don't mind the wings sloping back a little, but you know, when you're doing it, you're trying to match a piece of animation, and sometimes that gets really hard because for me, I don't sculpt the way most people sculpt. I really don't. And I try to do it as close to the original. If I'm doing a piece from source material, as close to the original source material as I can get, because that's what people are paying for. And as you see, I'm having a trouble here trying to find a way of getting this particular wing to stay where it needs to be. So it's going to be a butt. So we're going to work on this here live here and show you what I'm doing. So I want this wing to come up, and I want this wing to come up. So I'll come down without taking his head off, catch the loop, and hopefully pull it. Come on now. Work with me. There we go. We might have it here. So I'll have to turn it around to see if I achieved the look I wanted, and I did not. So that kind of sucks. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to And these are some of the things that I go through when I'm trying something I've never done before. And I don't have a whole lot of people that I can go to and ask and say, listen, how would you do this? So a lot of people don't like to give their secrets out. I've contacted some sculptors online before, and some of them, like Scott Finster, I've talked to him, and he's very friendly. He has shown me some things and given me some tips and stuff that have been absolutely amazing, and almost to the point where I don't know what I would have done on a particular piece had I not gotten that, little tidbit from him. Very friendly. And there's been some others. And I'm not going to mention the ones that haven't named, because we're in a sue-happy society where you can get sued or canceled for wearing the wrong cologne. And I just don't feel like dealing with that nonsense. So, but needless to say, there are quite a few that they don't care. And, if you don't want to answer, just say, hey, I'd rather not give my... You don't have to be rude. And that was my main thing with the ones that I dealt with, is they were fairly rude. So, that kind of looks a little better. It's not exactly where I want it. But it does need to be back away from the head, because the head needs to be the space in between the wings and the looking down. And then I will build the neck up. This will give the obvious time to cure in there to where it won't be rolling around a lot. And we'll get back to putting some clay on here. So what I want to do while you're here is I want to build up the neck. And the way I'm doing that is I'm looking at the animated steel and trying to find how much neck actually really shows on this thing. And there's not a lot. It's an animated short inside a feature-length film, and you have to think there are different scenes where the neck is longer. But this particular scene, his neck, literally, this is where the muscles in the shoulders are, where I just put this clay. So we've got to kind of work with it and make it look like it's functionable, but at the same time, not give him what I call giraffe neck. So, this is not, we didn't look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. There was actually, I think, one of the directors or producers or something on Fantasia, they brought Bela Lugosi in and took photos of him for some of Chernaborg's mannerisms, and they didn't like it, so I think it was a producer or somebody they actually had him just take his shirt off and do different poses and stuff, and that was what they used to do a lot of the poses and the actual mannerisms of the character. And it's a really interesting thing when you look at hand-drawn animation. The ghosts were like drawn on sails, and then those sails were moved like clear sails of animation film or something. There were just so many things that Fantasia did and brought to the forefront. So this particular creature here is literally one of those Disney villains that, you don't really see him in a lot of other Disney films. I'd like to see a movie based on Night on Bald Mountain and actually just come in there and actually flesh out the whole storyline of what's going on. Maleficent got 2 feature-length films, live action. So there is a desire to see these characters. But this, as far as a Disney villain, I agree with the guy who commissioned this. It's probably the Disney villain. When Walt Disney says this is the devil, you don't get any eviler or any badder as a bad guy than being the devil. So That being said, I think it's a phenomenal creature that we've not seen a lot. I know that he was used as a villain in Kingdom Hearts. He was one of the boss battles in Kingdom Hearts, and a lot of people who haven't played Kingdom Hearts probably don't know that. But then again, that's a series of games that is all over the place with Disney villains. So, but what I'm doing here is I'm just laying on clay, and then I'm going back in and kind of smoothing with my finger, and looking at where I'm putting stuff in. And I can kind of turn this right now because it's not completely. Well, I can't turn it because I'm going to take his head off. But you can see where the smoothing process is beginning. Now, I will actually put some Aves here to keep it from going down any farther, but I'm not doing it until I've made sure that the neck is as long as it needs to be. So then we'll take some clay and I'll lay in some basic shapes here along the back to where it would go down into the wings. So that'll help support the wings in this particular position while the Aves dries inside and solidifies. And that gets, extremely hard. This is a piece of Aves mixed with monster clay, and so it's hardened monster clay. So the problem with it is it does it in about 30 minutes, so you got to be real careful when you're, doing a piece and get it done, because once it hardens, there's no going back to it in sculpting. You're going to have to actually carve at that point. And that was a test I did to see if I could make monster clay harden. So I was pretty excited by that. But I do these rather extravagant large pieces for customers. And when I do them, you're sitting here and you're thinking, okay, exactly how big of a piece. And you see right here where I've been moving this around, you've kind of created a groove in the back of the head, and that's a pretty long neck. So you really want to get this down in there to where that head's not going to move, and you want it angled. And if that's your angle, then you need to put it there. But once you start putting this clay in for the actual neck, you're not going to be able to do this like this because it's going to affect the sculpture. So pay attention to what you're doing and be very careful. I decided to go this route because, monster clay doesn't completely harden. It stays soft. I mean, it gets hard enough, and you can have pieces that will survive in your home, sculptures that you've done. But if your air goes out and it's 100 degrees outside and your house is 88, it's going to affect them. And I can attest to that because my air went out here 2 or 3 times last year, and it affected a lot of really big pieces. So when it did, the aluminum armature wire took all that weight of that softened clay, and the armature wire snapped, and it caused the pieces to collapse. So I had to figure out a way of doing it to where the armature pieces were stronger. So we got 2 different sizes of steel rod. And this is the steel rod that the body's made of, or the shaft here. And you can see its thickness. I haven't bothered looking at the size, so let's see. 1/4 inch steel rods, and then we have these for the wing armatures. So difference is there, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can. So as I'm working on this, I will adjust to see, okay, does the neck need to be shorter, longer, and as soon as I have it where I want, I will stop sculpting completely, put Aves on the base, and that will be it. That will be how long the neck is. And I think I'm about there now because I kind of like, I'll pick it up and turn it around so it doesn't matter. What do you think about that? Think that looks good? So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to stop. I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to mix up a little bit of it. We're going to put it on the base, which will stop it from moving around. We got part A. It'll take a significant amount, so I don't have to worry about, oh, I didn't put enough, so now it's just sliding, because you don't want to have to deal with that. So there's our part A. And get part B down in here and get some. And bring it out. My wife had to mix some of this up a little bit ago, and I think it was an experience for her because she wasn't used to the texture, were you?
It's all right.
She's like, it's all right. So, got all that off of there. Clean it off so it doesn't dry. Now, you can work with this stuff with some water in your hands. I prefer to do it dry because it's less mess. It doesn't get down in my pores if I leave it dry. A lot of people say use gloves. I've never used gloves. I've had cuts on my hands. I've, all sorts of stuff, and it's never affected me negatively in any way. So, just saying. We will be at MagCon here in Tennessee at the Magnolia Avenue, Pellissippi State campus, the 24th and the 25th of this month.
Yeah, it's 3 days.
MagCon's only 2 days. We will be there. I will be doing a sculpting presentation. We will be doing CreepyCon this year, Rocky Top, where I will be doing another sculpting class. On that one, I'm going to basically do a short class on how to make miniatures. Unless I change my mind between now and then, which I am prone to do. As my wife says, you'll look at something and go, oh, that would be cool. I can show them to do that. Or I'll go, ooh, that would be cool. I can show them how to do that. It's that whole ADHD and being an artist. It gets in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we've got this on here, and I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to do any more for at least 4 hours. So this will harden. It will keep this where I want it. This is still very soft here. This clay is very warm because I came close to liquefying it when I put it into the microwave because I wanted it to last a little longer. And I'm going to leave this here and let this harden. And then we will come back at another time and show you more on the Chernaborg, the devil from Night on Bald Mountain from Fantasia. And hopefully, that's working. So, kind of excited there. It seems to work. And we're just going to leave it there. And, hit like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I'm trying to do more videos each week. It's difficult when, you've got family and family stuff going on. But we're going to try to show you more of the process that goes into my sculptures, especially big pieces like this. This one will more than likely take me close to 3 months. And once it's done, I will be moving on to another piece. I've got a couple of commissions for some action figure heads, which I've been working on, and they are to be reminiscent of Bashima artwork, so they're a little bit more detail oriented to make them look like the particular artwork. But hit like, hit subscribe. If you're trying something like this, test it. I tested this for a couple of days before I did anything. Today is the first day I put any clay on the actual body. You want to make sure you don't want a failure. You don't want something to collapse. So take your time. As I'm always telling my son, slow down, patience, quit trying to rush your sculpture. Make sure you're paying attention. Get an anatomy book out. Even though it's animation, it's still got human anatomy in it. and you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that when you're working on it. So, that being said, I'm Michael, One Eyed Fat Man Studios. Have a good day, and we'll catch you next time.